halfway through the week. So thank you for being here with Fresh Start Mornings. I'm happy to bring you the presentation this morning. I think you're going to thoroughly enjoy it. I've heard nothing but positive comments about Kyle Porter. So, Fresh Start Mornings is a initiative under Fresh Start Cherokee here at our office, the Cherokee Office of Economic Development. I'm Lee Smith, and I've been in the role since early April, and I'm excited to continue to be here with you and to bring Fresh Start Mornings to you to help support you as a small business. We want to create a culture and community of entrepreneurship. One of our initiatives is to really help startups, entrepreneurs in any way that we can. And one of those is through Fresh Start, as well as our North Atlanta Venture Mentoring Service, where we pair businesses with mentors in a mentor-based model to really help them along their journey to grow and scale their business. And then we're sitting at the Circuit, which is a co-working space. So you can come and grab a cup of coffee with a circle of friends. You can grab a desk, a hot seat, a couch, or a private office to help grow your business if you're ready to get out of your house and get away from the dogs and the kids and all the noise and want to be with your community and local entrepreneurs. And as you all know, nothing gets done alone. Even at the co-ed office, while we have lots of initiatives and lots of support, we need our community partners to do our work and to help lead our initiatives. So we're thankful for our city and our county to support us, as well as Reformation Brewery that hosts us on the third Wednesday. So Fresh Start Mornings is at 9 at Reformation Brewery in Canton. So they do our space. Circle of Friends supports us with your cup of joe this morning to wake you up. Polar Night, IT Services with Bronson Kurtz. The Intentionals, Elizabeth Peace, our MC. You've seen her here quite often at the Circuit, MC and Fresh Start Mornings. And then Corridor Publishing, Gerald Griffith is so kind to come and hook up all the equipment, microphone, speaker, and live stream it for us. So for those who cannot attend, you can always see it later through our social media. I'm going to bring up Elizabeth, and she's going to introduce our speaker, and then she'll handle a Q&A when he's finished.
Good morning, everybody. I don't know if you know this, but the couches in the back are the VIP. It was $5 to get in, and Victoria said it was $10 to get out. Okay, so y'all made a really good economic decision up here. Go for your budgets. Okay, so I get the joy of just introducing Kyle this morning. He's a digital marketing expert and business growth strategist, which means he does what we all want to do for our businesses. So he formerly owned brick and mortar small businesses. He did martial arts facilities and has grown those in incredible ways to seven-figure. And from that experience, he's come out of that and is focusing on helping other businesses grow theirs to that same type of level. And he has worked with clients like Coca-Cola, United States Air Force, and Cesar Millan. But he's never talked to the dog whisperer directly because he whispers and you can't hear him. So he's talked to people and stuff. And he's also a keynote speaker and marketing educator, so for digital marketing for people, and he's on the faculty of Digital Marketer. Look at him go, which is the world's largest training platform for digital marketing professionals. He moved to Canton in 2022 with his wife and 3 kids, and in his free time, these are very funny, these are his words, and he has great stories, by the way, so definitely talk to him about some of these. Sushi dates with his smoking hot wife. Those are his words. That's cool. Living room WrestleMania with his 2-year-old son. Have you ever gotten a broken nose or a black eye from that?
No, but he has.
Oh. Okay. Tea parties with his 5-year-old daughter. Do you put the pinky up when you do that? Okay, good. And water balloon fights with his 9-year-old daughter. And those are all outside. Oh, okay. Good way to mop the floor. There you go. So just join me in welcoming Kyle up here and just thank you for being here. He says he doesn't need this, so if he does, just do, you know that.
If anybody having any trouble hearing me right now? I do. Ronson can deal. I just had to kind of re-up because I don't know where I set my coffee now. There it is. I just found it. I knew I would as soon as I got it here. It's fine. I just got a new one. All right. So I did this presentation or a similar one. I think in November at the Canton Business Club up at Reformation in Canton. And the thing that I see a lot of times is people come up for presentations like this and they talk about themselves. And they say, I do this and I offer these services and here's all the things that I can do and look at how great I am. And I'm going to spend about, this presentation, I'm going to spend about 37 seconds going through that stuff because my goal for this presentation is for you guys to get as much out of it as possible. So with that said, I want this to be as back and forth as it can be. So if I sit up here and just run my mouth for the next 30 minutes, I will consider that a massive failure. So if you have questions, if you have thoughts, if you go like, hang on a second, that doesn't make sense, please raise your hand or just yell out or like, I don't know, do something, whatever it takes to like get my attention and we'll have a conversation because I want to make sure that you guys actually have something that you can take away from this and get an idea. I'll talk at the end of this about the concept of bridges and getting something done from where you are to where you currently want to go because we all have lots and lots and lots of ideas and projects that we start and initiatives that we begin but don't really get across the finish line. And so one of the things that I want you guys to do today is to decide like what is that bridge that I need to build and get across the finish line in order to take my business in the right direction. So hopefully this stuff will help you make some of that decision. I've got a bunch of sheets over here that David is hoarding. These are our worksheets because who doesn't love worksheets? So I got these made up for you guys. They'll help you kind of track along. There's also pens right there in case anyone is less than prepared. So with that, I'll kind of jump in. So I'm always thinking in terms of planning for what's coming next with your business. If you're reactive, if you're thinking about like, you know, something just happened and now I've got to react to it, chances are it's probably too late to do anything substantive about it. So I always like to think ahead. So this idea, the idea here is how can we take what we learned today or what we go through today and decide on something that we need to do in the immediate future to set us up for success down the road. The things that we're going to be covering by the end of today, look at that, I have a laser pointer. It's a clicker and it's a laser pointer. These are on Amazon for like 15 bucks. By the end of this, you are going to have an 8-stage customer journey. Now, what I mean by a customer journey is that the process of people doing business with you can't be an accident. There's a whole workflow that people have to go through from the process of finding out that your business even exists, all the way through building authority and trust, because that's who people do business with, is people that they know, they like, and they trust, to becoming leads, turning leads into customers, turning customers into happy customers that come back again and again, and that upgrade to higher levels of service, and that leave reviews, and that refer you out to their friends and colleagues. Like, all of that has to happen in a very intentional way, and if you're not planning those things out, then they just don't happen. The other thing that we're going to talk about is that there are literally only 4 ways to grow your business. Not 3, not 5. There are 4 ways to grow your business. Most people focus on the wrong 2. We're going to talk about the other 2 and make sure that you know how valuable those are. And then finally, we're going to talk about the 3 things that you need to know in order to do effective marketing. And before we go any further, we need to talk about what marketing is. Marketing is not, oh cool, I got a bunch of clicks to my website. Marketing is not, oh cool, look at all these views on my YouTube video. Because those are not things that directly tie into revenue. Marketing is, how can I get more people into your sales process that become customers, that pay you in a way that is profitable. And if you're working with a marketing company that's patting themselves on the back for things like Instagram followers and video views and website clicks, and you're not actually seeing real like dollar bill return on investment out of that, it's probably time to have a really tough conversation with that company, because marketing is not an arts and crafts project. It should be an investment, not an expense. And this is me stepping off of my soapbox so I can get into this. So 3 keys to effective marketing. We'll talk about that too. But first, I'm going to talk about my family. That's water balloons, that's tea parties, that's WrestleMania. Are you really a suburban white family if you don't have a pumpkin patch picture? We do. Charlie's the oldest, that's her right there. Royce is the middle, which is convenient because we call her our walking middle finger. She is a giant disaster. Axel is a baby. He's less of a baby now than when we took that picture, but he's effectively a human tornado. His new thing is that he wakes up every morning at about 5:30 and comes walking into mine and my wife's room, and he has his Crocs, and he climbs on the bed and he starts diving around and he says, up, 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 and so we get up, and it's really great. We're really big fans of that. That's the kids. That is my smoking hot wife. Justin's here. He always introduces his girlfriend Jess, and he says, have you met my girlfriend Jess? So I always like to say, have you met my wife Jess? Because I'm a step further down the path. So this is me. In 2015, I started a really small business. I had no idea what I was doing. I thought I had an idea what I was doing. I spent 4 years at Georgia drinking beer and chasing girls around, and that does not leave you with a lot of options coming out of Georgia. And so I did what I had always done, which is kids martial arts. I jumped on board with a facility that I had been working at for a long time. We grew that up really big, and so I was like, I can do this. So I signed this 5-year-long, really expensive commercial lease. All of a sudden, I'm on the hook for $300,000, and I went, where are all the kids that are supposed to be paying me for this? So I had to figure that out, and luckily I did. I stayed up really late a lot of nights. I'm a proud graduate now of not only the University of Georgia, but also YouTube University when it comes to digital marketing. So I figured out a lot of stuff along the way. And then when COVID hit, I don't know if you guys know, but karate was the wrong business to be in. There wasn't a whole lot of grabbing and shaking and kicking and punching that was happening, so I had to make a pretty quick pivot, which I did, into the digital marketing space. I like that a lot. I also like the fact that I wasn't getting off work at 8 o'clock at night and not seeing my kids, and I was getting off work at kind of whenever I wanted, and I was seeing a lot more of my kids. So here I am. That's me with a bunch of kids that have figured out how to get into the building. Next, I'll build a little credibility so you actually listen to what I have to say for the next 20 minutes or so. I have a bunch of certifications in all of these things with digital marketing. I'm a certified story brand guy. There's a book that I recommend everybody read. It's called Building a Story Brand. It's by a guy named Donald Miller. Super, super, super incredible book. It talks about positioning yourself not as the hero of the story, but as the guide in your customer's story. So you are all about helping them solve problems, not about talking about how great you are. So I can do that. I worked at Coca-Cola. I did the Facebook recruiting for the United States Air Force Special Warfare Division. So I basically helped them find Special Forces kids out of Nebraska that are used to throwing hay bales everywhere, and now they go protect the country. And I also worked with Cesar Millan doing his SEO. So let's get into stuff about you guys. There are 4 ways to grow your business. Most people focus on the first 2, and that's things like getting more eyeballs. When people come to a marketing company, they say like, hey, I want to run this campaign, I want to run Facebook ads, I want to do Google ads, I want to do SEO, I want to send up smoke signals, I want to stand on the top of a building and yell really loud, I want to get more attention, right? They get more eyeballs on their business, and that's totally valid, right? This is things like website visits, leads, subscribers to your newsletter. It's just eyeballs. It's more opportunities and more people entering into your sales cycle. So getting more eyeballs is a totally legitimate way to grow your business. Another legitimate way to grow your business is to take more of those eyeballs and turn them into customers, right? So if you're better at taking the attention that you have and turning that into customers, your business is going to grow. The third way is getting more margin. That means that every time somebody pays you to do what you do, they pay you more. So that means you upgrade them to higher levels of service, you add on, you bundle things, you get them to pay you more each time they pay you. And then the last way is just to get them to pay you more times, right? So this was kind of the bread and butter for us in the martial arts world, is if I can keep a kid enrolled in my program for 18 months rather than 9 months, my business grows, right? And there's no additional operating expense to keeping that kid, right? It's just I'm better at what I do, so they stick around longer, and my business grows as a result of that, just plugging the holes in the bucket. So these are the ways that you can grow your business. Basically anything that you're thinking about in terms of a business growth effort fits into one of these buckets. It's either to get more attention, to get more sales out of the attention that you have, to get more dollars out of each one of those sales, or to get more quantity of sales, right? So let's talk about that in real terms. So there's 4 ways to grow our business: eyeballs, conversions, margins, and transactions. Let's say that you get 100 leads for your business, right? All of a sudden you've got a list. These are people who are actively interested in doing business with you. You've got 100 people knocking on the door saying, hey, tell me about what you do. That's great. You can turn 20% of those people into customers. So you have a 20% conversion rate. That means your 100 leads turn into 20 customers. Cool, congratulations. Let's say that each of those customers is worth $100 in profit. So every time that you get a new customer, that puts $100 into your pocket. So off of those 100 leads that turned into 20 customers at $100 profit, you are now making $2,000 in total profit. Let's say that you're in some kind of business where people pay you more than once. If you're a mortgage broker, this last lever that you pull is probably not the one that you're going to pull. How often are people coming to you for mortgages, right? So what you can do, if you're in a business that has multiple transactions, is you can see how many transactions can I get out of those people. So if you have 100 leads that turn into 20 customers, each one's worth $100, and they each pay you 5 times, then you've effectively turned that 100 leads into $10,000. Everybody tracking with me so far? Cool. All right, we're gonna do math, but I'm gonna give you all the answers. So even if you're like not a math person, I'm gonna spoon feed you. I got you, baby birds. Now, here's what most people want to do. They say, I want more leads, get more people into the front end, more people in the top of the funnel, more attention, more eyeballs, because I know what happens downstream, right? I know that if I turn that 100 leads into 200 leads, everything goes up. And that's true, right? Because if you keep your 20% conversion rate, then now you have 40 customers, $4,000 in profit, and that is worth $20,000 lifetime. That's good. Your business just grew. But what if we did it differently? What if instead of that 100 leads turning into 200 leads, everything else stayed the same, but you just got better at what you do, and so you got people coming back more frequently, and so instead of just paying you 5 times, now they pay you 10 times. Now they retain themselves, or you retain them as customers for longer or more frequently. Well, that still has the exact same net effect. You still end up with $20,000 lifetime. You've still doubled your business, but you haven't had to deal with the operating inefficiencies and the operating scale of going from 100 leads to 200 leads. You have to work harder to do that, right? That's a harder job. This one is a harder job to do than this one. Do we agree? So if you just get better at keeping people around, your business can grow the same way. And it's true of any of these numbers. So if I double this, my business doubles. If I double this, my business doubles. If I double this. So if we can rise all of these metrics, if I can get better at all of these things, and I can get more attention, and I can get better at selling, and I can get better at upselling or upgrading, and I can keep people around longer, then we've got this compounding effect where my business grows in a much, much, much more effective way. Cool. So, how do you decide what lever to pull in your business? Well, there's 3 things that you need. First, you need a documented strategy, which we're going to talk about in just a second. You need a plan. How are people going to do business with my business? What is going to happen that allows me to create these relationships? The second thing that you need is you need actionable metrics. Now, not just metrics, because there are literally an infinite number of things that you could track in your business. You could keep track of how many people walk through the door. You could keep track of what color shoes your customers generally wear. You could keep track of a zillion, trillion, billion things. What we want to keep track of are the things that give me information that I can actually do something about. So we need actionable metrics. The third thing that you need is you need effective tools and tactics. This is where most people go. I need somebody to do SEO for me. I need somebody to do Facebook ads for me. Okay, why? Why is that what you need? Does it fit into your documented strategy? How does it help you pull the lever that needs to be pulled of those 4 things that we can do to grow our business? Why do you need that thing that you think that you need? Most companies have 1 or 2 of these things. Very few have all 3. So here's what that looks like. If you've got a plan and you're keeping score, but you're not actually doing anything, then you're stuck in the mud. I still am, the kind of people that makes like checklists of all the checklists I need to make. Like, I'm gonna plan out all the things that I need to plan, right? So I've got all these lists, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get a new spiral-bound graph paper notebook. That'll help me stay organized. How about if instead you just went out and had a conversation with someone, right? Like, those are the things where I'm stuck in the mud, I'm not doing anything. If I've got actionable metrics and I'm keeping score, and I'm doing stuff, but it's not really according to any plan, this is like the one-hit wonder. Like, you're gonna strike gold sometimes. You're gonna get it right. You're gonna hit, something that actually works. But another way to say this is just kind of throwing shit against the wall, right? Like, we're just sort of trying stuff, and we're gonna see what happens. So if we've got the documented strategy, we've got the tools and tactics, but we're not measuring anything, then now we're this sort of bull in a china shop, right? We've got a plan. We're gonna go do it, but we're not really paying attention to what happens when we do it. Like, I don't know. That's a problem, right? So we need to kind of be right there in the middle where we are keeping score according to our plan and we're actually putting things into effect, right? And what we do then is we start by diagnosing. What do we think the problem is? What do we think needs to happen in order for me to grow my business? You can be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. You're going to be wrong most of the time. And again, like, notice we haven't even started talking about like specific tactics. We haven't started talking about like, here's how to write a good blog post. Here's how to launch a good Facebook ad campaign. Because we have to understand like best practices, first principles. Like, we've got to get that stuff down first, and then we can actually make intelligent decisions about the things that we go and implement. So we need to diagnose, what do we think is wrong? What do we think is going to make a difference when it comes to growing our business? And we build our plan around that. Then we plan out, and this is where sort of things get married. We plan out according to our strategy what tools and tactics we're going to implement. We execute on those things. We report back on how they work, and that informs this cycle that repeats itself over and over and over again, where these three things play really well together, where I've got a plan, I've got tools and tactics that I'm implementing, and I've got metrics that I'm keeping score with. So what I do is I do it all over again. I diagnose, I plan, I execute, I report. And I never, ever, 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 ever stop doing that in my business, because there's always something to improve on. There's always, you may not have a weak link in your business, but there's always a weakest link in your business. There's always something that can be improved, or that is the worst, the thing you're worst at, right? So this is that documented strategy part. This is how people go about doing business with you. The first thing that happens is that they have to become aware. They have to know that you exist. If you don't tell people that you're in business, then nobody knows you're in business. You have to first say like, hey, I'm Kyle and I do digital marketing and marketing strategy for small businesses. Now you're aware, right? Like, anybody in the room not have any idea who I was before you walked in today? Raise your hand. Okay, cool. Raise your hand now if you know who I am. Look at that, I checked this box. Okay, so we are now aware. From there, I have to engage with you. I have to build trust. I have to build that authority. I have to get you thinking like, this guy knows what he's talking about. That's kind of what I'm trying to do over the next 20 minutes or so, right? From that point, my job will be, your job will be in your company to get subscribers, to get people who say like, hey, I would like to have a conversation with you. Let's take this a little bit further. Here's my name, here's my phone number, here's my email address. Let's continue this conversation. Because what you've done at that point, I always tell this story. When I was a kid, my next door neighbors on either side had keys to my house. Right? Anybody's neighbors have keys to their house just in case like they need to open your door and drop the mail off if you're out of town or something like that. So the idea of subscribing is basically like that. It's you giving the key, or someone giving the key to you to be able to access them. Right? So if I'm out of town and my neighbors have a key to my house, they can be a good steward of the trust that I have given them. They can drop my stuff off, they can come in and feed my dogs, and then they can leave, right? That's what I've entrusted them to do. They also have the power to come into my house when no one's there, open up my pantry, eat all my food, lay on my couch with their shoes on, turn on, Maury Povich, and hang out for the afternoon. Like, they can do that. I hope they don't, because that would not be good stewardship of the trust that I've given them, right? So what we have to do is, when people give us their contact information and they subscribe and they say, hey, I want to learn more about you, you have to be a good steward of that. You can't just bombard them with texts and emails like, buy our stuff, buy our stuff, buy our stuff. We have to be good stewards of that. So that they convert. So that they go from, hey, I like you, I trust you, I'm starting to trust you, I want to learn more about what you do. And now you're saying like, hey, why don't we sit down and grab coffee together? Why don't we spend 30 minutes? Why don't you buy my like entry-level thing just so you can see what it's like to do business with me? And then at that point, there starts this really cool virtuous cycle where someone spends time or money with me. Now, because they've given me something, they've also given me a burden. You'll hear me talk about that a lot. And so I have an obligation. I have to excite them. I have to show them that your time and trust invested in me was well placed. I can actually help you the way that you hoped I could. And then if that happens, when I excite them, basically if I say, hey, if you buy my $100 thing, it's going to be worth $150 worth of value to you. And they go like, yeah, it is worth $150 worth of value to me. I love that thing that you sold me. Now I have permission to ascend them. I have permission to say, well, hey, if you got $150 worth of value out of my $100 thing, do you want to try my $1,000 thing? And they're going to be like, maybe. I'm more interested in that. Because if they paid you the 100 and you said, well, you got $75 worth of value out of the 100 that you put in me, and now do you want to try my $1,000 thing? The answer is absolutely not. I don't want to try that. I didn't even get value out of the thing that happened first. So we have this obligation where when people convert, we have to excite them so that we can ascend them, and now we're at a new level of conversion. So it starts over and over and over again. This is where retention comes from. This is where customer service plays in. This is where people are willing to go to the next step with you, which could be something like advocating for you. It could be something like, people cheering you on or posting about you on social media. It could be people leaving a review about you. It could be people recording a testimonial video for you. All of these things are positive feedback, and then we get people to actively promote you. So this is the documented strategy. This is what we take people through. They have to become aware, so they engage, so they subscribe, they convert, meaning they spend time or money. You show them you can help them, they're excited, so they ascend to the next level of service, and once they have sufficiently ascended, they will advocate for you, and they will actively promote you. Everybody tracking? Sweet. So the first thing we have to do is we have to understand who it is that we are talking to. If you have not spent time thinking about who your ideal customer or customers are, most companies will have multiple what we call ideal customer profiles, ICPs, customer avatars, customer personas. You'll hear them called a lot of different things. But it basically is like, what is the theoretical representation of the person who is perfect for me to do business with? And if you can create that person, you can think, would that person open this email? Would that person buy this thing? Would that person be interested in this offer? If you can think about it in those terms, then that person begins to represent your audience at large, right? So we want to be really, really specific about who it is that we're trying to get in front of. And then once we've got that person that we have in mind, then we have to start thinking about what do we have, what do we offer that actually makes that person's life better. So in the context of what we do, how does working on their diesel engines, or filming them at their place of business, or selling them insurance, or whatever it is that we do, how does that make their life better? Because if all we do is we say, oh, I'll fix your diesel engine, or I'll come film you, or I'll sell you insurance, then it's kind of like, yeah, you and everybody else. But if you can say, I will do this for you so that you can have this outcome in your life, so that your life looks like this, so that you feel this way, so that you've got confidence about starting up your fleet of trucks for the day, knowing that things are going to operate appropriately and that you're going to be able to run your business. That's a hell of a lot more compelling than like, I'll make sure your engine works. Right? So what we've got to do is we've got to make sure that we think about how we make their life better in the context of what we offer. And then we've got to think about, not by looking necessarily at our competitors, but we've got to think about, why would someone buy this from me when I know that they've got lots and lots and lots of other options? And when you think about competition, when you think about alternatives and options, I want you to think not just about the people who also sell the things that you sell, but the perfect analogy here is that if you're a therapist, and you help people that are really struggling, then your competition is not just other therapists. Your competition is also the liquor store, right? Because you have to think about the other alternatives that people might consider when it comes to not just looking for the solution, but solving the problem, right? I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed, I'm overworked, I'm anxious, I'm gonna go grab a bottle of Tito's, right? That's the thought process for some people. And so what you've got to do is you've got to consider, how can I position myself as the solution to the problem, not just here's the service that I sell, right? All right, then we've got to think about, once we know that, because this is my messaging. Here's who I am, here's who I serve, here's how I make your life better, here's why you should get it from me instead of everybody else that you could get it from. Okay? That's the messaging. If I can dial that in, and we can talk about how to do that, but if I can dial that in, then I know what to say. And I know what to say in Facebook ads, I know what to say on a landing page, I know what to say when I'm speaking to a group like this, I know what to say in any context where I'm going to use words to sell things, which is basically every context. Right? Once I've got the words down, now I can start to apply them. Most people then go like, it's time for me to get an Instagram profile, right? And start posting a whole lot of shit to Instagram. Nope, not yet. Because what I've got to do is I've got to realize that when I do things like that, when I get attention, I am driving people to something. So I've got to have a place to send them to first. So when I send people to a place, am I sending them to the business that I run? Am I sending them to a storefront? Am I asking them to give me a call? Am I asking them to fill out a form on a landing page? Am I taking them to my website? Am I taking them to my social media profiles? Do I have a podcast that I want them to listen to? Do I have a YouTube channel that I want them to subscribe to? Where am I taking that attention and placing it? Because when I have that, I open the door to a sales process. And that sales process, when people arrive at the place where I'm sending them, that sales process should be obvious, it should be frictionless, and it should be repeatable. Meaning that I don't want to hide the cash register. If you're walking through Target, and you've got an armload of stuff, and you walk up to somebody in a red polo, and you've got, hey, I've got this armload of stuff, and I would like to purchase it now. And they go, oh, well, it's really interesting because we have moved cash registers to the third stall of the men's bathroom. You're going to go, okay, well, that makes it way too hard for me to buy this armload of stuff, so I'm just going to go put it back, right? So what we need to do is we need to have big buttons, and we need to say, click here and call now, and here's our number, and do this. It's not like learn more. It's not get started. Think about like if you were approaching someone for like a romantic interaction. You're walking up to somebody at a bar and you go, hey, would you like to get started? Would you like to learn more? Nope. I need you to give them clear, compelling, concrete calls to action. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to fill out this form. I want you to call this number. I want you to book an appointment. Now they have something to accept or reject, right? It needs to be frictionless. So don't hide it, make it obvious, and it also needs to be scalable and repeatable. So I don't want some people to fill out a form, some people to walk through my front door, some people to call me, some people to have to, we do it a little bit different because you're wearing a blue shirt and it's a Friday afternoon. Like we have to do things the same way over and over and over again, and that's how I build a repeatable sales process. Now we can start talking about traffic. Okay? When we talk about traffic, we're talking about attention. This is what most people think about when they think about marketing. Marketing is Facebook ads, and it's social media posts, and it's email, and it's websites, and it's all this stuff, and it's SEO, and it's all the things, right? It is, but we have to think about it in more concrete terms. It's attention, okay? And what we have to do is we have to find where the people whose attention we're trying to get are already spending their time, or we have to reverse engineer what those people are going to do when they need a service like yours. So, if you are an emergency plumber, anybody ever had like a plumbing emergency? Like a basement flooded, pipe burst? No one in the history of ever has gone, a pipe just burst in my basement. I'm going to go on Instagram and see if a plumber advertises to me. Right? That doesn't happen. That's not where you go. When a pipe bursts, you go to Google and you type in, oh my God, a pipe just burst, emergency plumber near me, how do I fix this problem? You are in very much an intent-based mindset, right? And this is the spectrum I want you to think about. On one end of the spectrum, we have intent. That is people actively seeking out the thing that you do. They go look for emergency plumbers. Emergency plumbers don't just advertise on Facebook if they want to get return on their investment. And they're not just thinking like branding long-term so that I can be the emergency plumber people call. But intent is, I'm going to go look for the thing. Interruption is, I know who I'm trying to get in front of. And I know where they spend time. I know whether that's online or offline. Whether that's they spend time on Instagram, they spend time on TikTok, they come to Fresh Start Mornings, they go to, Reformation and they drink in the afternoons. Like, I don't know where that person is, but I need to interrupt them. I need to go to the places where they already are so that I can get in front of them, whether they are looking for me or not. This is how we build our karate schools. When I teach kids karate schools, I went, okay, well, there's 4 buildings within a 2-mile radius of my building where 1,000 kids sit every single day, bored out of their minds, and once a week they go to a PE class. And if I can figure out a way to get into that PE class, that's all the marketing I'll ever need to do. And so we did it. And it was a laborious, miserable process to figure out how to get plugged in with the elementary schools so they would let me come in and teach gym classes to their kids for a week. And then all of a sudden, the doors are blown open because kids are like, Coach Kyle came into the gym and we did karate and it was awesome. I got to kick my friend, right? Like, and the business grew because I was interruptive in the place where my target audience was already spending time. Right? So when you think about this stuff, that's what I want you to think about. Where are they? And if you can boil it down to where those people are already spending time, then you can be really, really valuable by going to those places. Anybody know who these guys are? Morgan and Morgan and Morgan and Morgan and Morgan and Morgan and Morgan. They are personal injury attorneys. Okay? It's really, 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 really difficult to advertise if you are not Morgan and Morgan and you are a personal injury attorney because they're playing an intent-based game. This is brilliant. They're playing an intent-based game and they got the dollar bills to make it happen where, anybody get rear-ended by a semi-truck on the way over here? No? Okay, cool. So if you got advertised to by personal injury attorney X on Facebook when you're scrolling through on your way home, like, hey, did you fall off a ladder today? Nope. Did you get run over by a semi-truck? Nope. Are you the victim of nursing home negligence? No. Right? So Facebook ads have zero value, but these guys will run daytime TV ads while people are watching Maury Povich and eating Cheetos on their couch because they fell off a ladder or got run over by a semi-truck. And that's where they're spending time. Those people are at home watching TV. And so all day on TV, you see ads for technical colleges and personal injury attorneys. Because the people who are staying home and watching TV at 2 in the afternoon are either hurt or looking for something to do with their day. Right? So if you want to advertise on the intent side, you got to go up against these guys. And that's why personal injury attorney near me is literally the most expensive Google search keyword if you're going to run ads. It's like $400 a click. A click just to get someone who searched for personal injury attorney to your website. Not a lead, not a client, a click. Now they're viewing your website. Congratulations, it cost you $400. Real talk. This is a one wheel. Anybody ever seen a one wheel before? Okay? One of those are super cool. They are a super interruptive product. Interruptive in the sense that before one wheels came on the market, how many Google searches do you think there were for skateboard platform, but with the wheel in the middle and it can go off-road and it goes 30 miles an hour? Goose egg. People weren't looking for this, but you can kind of think about like the kind of person that would ride a one-wheel skateboard. You know who they are. So you can go, okay, well, I want to target people that are interested in outdoor sports, people that, meet this interest criteria, and I'm going to advertise this one-wheel skateboard to them. Anybody raise your hand if you got kids? Raise your hand if they have iPads. Raise your hand if you're tired of watching them play on iPads. Okay, hands down. There is a product you can see in the background here. You see the background here? It's called an Infinity Game Table. Infinity Game Table is like a coffee table. It's like this, except the top of the table, the tabletop, is an interactive screen. So you can sit around the table and you can play, games with your kids, and you can and now your kids have the benefit of, look at me, I'm playing on a screen, and you have the benefit of, look at me, I'm sitting across the table from my kid. Anybody ever in the history of Google, in the history of your life, Googled coffee table with interactive iPad screen as the top of the table? Bronson has. One. There's always one, right? People aren't looking for this, but if you know the audience, if you know who you're trying to reach, then you can build an audience of moms of 9-year-olds, in the top 20% income brackets in America, right? And show them, like, hey, if you're tired of watching your kids play on their iPad, pain point, here's a solution. It's not about the product, it's about how it creates experiences in your life. Infinity Game Table. And they go, cool, I'll buy it. All right, let's talk about Google for a second. Google is the single most terrifying entity on the planet. If you've got Google Maps on your phone, here's just for instance. If you've got Google Maps on your phone, then here's what Google knows about you. They know where you live because your phone sits at your house, X hours. So they know where you live. They know where you work because you go there every day. They know how fast you go to get there. They know what roads you take. They know whether you prefer surface streets or highways. If you've got Gmail on that same phone, then they know your level of education based on your semantic architecture when you write emails. And if you don't have a Gmail address, because privacy, then you still interact with people who use Gmail addresses. And if you think that Google is not paying attention to every conversation that happens via Gmail, then you're living in a fantasy world. Google has more data. Google knows more about you than you know about you. In 2015, 8 years ago, Google told a 16-year-old girl somewhere in middle America that she was pregnant before she knew she was pregnant. They started advertising, baby supplies to her, and she's going like, and her dad's all angry and writing letters. Turns out she was pregnant based on the way that she changed little nuances of what she was searching for and when she was using her phone, and it's terrifying. Okay, the number of data points that Google has on you is absolutely staggering. Now, as an advertiser, right, because these are things that Google to some degree allows us to leverage. They don't allow us to get specific information. Like I can't look at you and go, oh, well, Google told me that Lee, likes to paint her toenails. It's not names. It's just, I want to find people who like to paint their toenails, and Google's going to loop into that. Okay, so when you think about intent-based platforms, we are still on that spectrum. Intent-based platforms like Google, it's like Amazon. Amazon is an intent-based platform. Nobody just goes on Amazon to hang out. 5 minutes. All right, here we go. Nobody goes on Amazon to hang out. They go on Amazon because they're looking for something. And Amazon is really good at saying, you like that? Do you want this? Bing, if you use Bing, it's basically like Diet Google. Home Advisor. You go to Home Advisor to look for people to help you with certain things. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, these are interruptive platforms. People go on them to spend time on them. They're not going there with any specific intent. They're going there to spend time on them. YouTube is this beautiful little unicorn that lives in the middle, right? Because with YouTube, we're going to go to YouTube to figure out how to change a tire, to figure out how to replace a faucet, or just to do YouTube, right? We'll see what happens. Right, so YouTube is really great because it can be used as both an interruptive platform. I can go to Google, which owns YouTube, and I can say I want to advertise to moms between the ages of 35 and 55 who are interested in toenail painting. Or I can say I want to advertise to people who watch this specific video on YouTube, or this specific channel, or who have shot, or who have searched for emergency plumbers in the last 30 days, right? I can do all of those things with YouTube. So I really like YouTube as a platform. I didn't put it on here, but Pinterest also kind of lives in the middle of those, right? People go on Pinterest just for Pinterest, and people go on Pinterest to look for things. So if you're looking for creators or kind of anybody in that space, Pinterest is a really good platform. There's a tool. I highly recommend that you use it. It's super easy to use. It's called Facebook Ad Library. So if you're in a business and you want to figure out what's working right now, I especially like this for local businesses where there is a big national competitor. If you're a local plumber and you want to see what Roto-Rooter's doing, Facebook Ad Library is really cool because what you can do is you can go on and you can search either by keyword. You can't really see it there, but it says roofing. So I can see 23,000 ads that roofers around the country are running. What's working on Facebook right now? I can also look at any individual competitor or any individual page on Facebook, and I can see what ads that particular company is running on Facebook. So Facebook Ad Library is a hugely valuable tool. All right, here's customer acquisition in 2 components. Eyeballs plus agreement. You got to get people seeing your offers. You got to show them your stuff. You got to get people looking at you and saying hey, I sell this. Do you want it? And then they say yes. Congratulations, you just got a customer. That's it. That's all customer acquisition is. So when you do that, what we're doing here, when we start talking about this intent interruption thing, this is your eyeballs. All the sales stuff that we talked about, the messaging, that's how you get people to yes. It's talking about their pain point, talking about how you make their life better. All you're doing here is getting attention, right? That doesn't have to be done online. When I work with companies, whether they're local or national, we don't just think about, when you think about marketing, don't just think about Facebook, Instagram, Google, YouTube, SEO. It's not just that. That's one avenue. It could very well be something like this. What I'm doing right now is marketing. Hopefully I'll have some conversations with some of you guys after this meeting about hey, maybe you can help me with my business, right? That's what I'm doing. So this is customer acquisition. It's attention plus agreement. Then, once you have customers, you have to build systems for how you keep those customers excited. I only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to go really fast. Expectations exercise. You'll see this on the back of your page here, this chart. Document your process. What does it look like for people to do business with you? Every step in the process. A lead comes in, you have your first meeting, you all the way through. What do people expect? And then how can you exceed their expectations? At every possible inflection point, pivot point, how can you say, here's what people expect from me right now, here's how I'm going to do one better. Killer competitor exercise is Lee owns a highlight reel. If a video production company opened across the street from her, what would they have to look like in order to put Lee out of business? That's the question you have to ask yourself. If a direct competitor opened across the street from me, metaphorically, what would they have to look like? What would they have to do in order to put my business out of business? Do that. Right? And then if you go, well, hey, I'm trying to figure out how to keep my customers around, I have no idea what to do, put the problem on its head and go, okay, well, instead of thinking, what do I do to keep customers, I'm going to think about, what would I do to drive every customer out the door, to piss them off so much that they leave and never come back? Now do the opposite of that. So whatever would piss your customers off and cause them to run for the hills, flip that on its head. Now you figured out a really good way to turn the problem upside down. Now, we've got this, our customer value journey. Actionable metrics. We talked about this at the very beginning. This is super, super, super important. Who's tall? Justin, come here real quick. Justin's taller than I am. I only have 5 minutes, Justin. Come on. Yeah. I still have 5 minutes. All right, Justin holds his arm out like this. When you watch UFC fights, they'll say, here's how tall they are, here's how much they weigh, here's their record, here's how many knockouts they have. Here's their reach. It's kind of a weird stat. Here's how long their arms are. Who cares? Right? Justin holds his arm out, puts his hand on my forehead. This is why reach matters. It is an actionable metric when it comes to fighting, because there's a distance where he can hit me and I can't hit him. Reach matters. It's a metric that matters. Right, that's it. Great job. Other metrics that are true. There are 293 ways to make change for $1. That's not actionable. I can't do anything with it. It's true. It doesn't matter. I can keep score of that. How many ways are there to make change for $1? 293. Great. Who cares? The average person left hand does 56% of the typing. Great. Who cares? It doesn't matter. I can't do anything with that information. You need to track metrics that actually matter. Lead and lag measures. Lead measures what I do. Lag measures what happens because of that. Okay? Jerry Seinfeld wrote jokes. You may know that. He wrote jokes. So Jerry Seinfeld's process for writing jokes was, I'm going to sit down every day for 20 minutes and I'm going to write jokes. It wasn't, I'm going to write the best joke I can today. And what he did is he put a big red X in his calendar. And his goal was not to write the very best jokes that go on the show and make him $100 million. His goal was to sit down and write jokes for 20 minutes. And if he did that, everything else took care of itself. So if all you're paying attention to is sales and revenue and number of customers and customer retention rate, those are lag measures. By the time you see the data, it's too late to do anything about it. Focus on the lead measures. What are you doing to affect those lag measures? And then you can take care of those lag measures by themselves. Actionable metrics, I already talked about that. As you build minimum viable product, this is the last slide. As you build, don't think about planning out the perfect launch so that by the time you launch it, it has to be the right thing. Iterate. Go from a skateboard to a bicycle to a moped to a this, whatever that is. Here, you have nothing. You just have 2 wheels. That's not actionable. It's not viable, right? It's a minimum product, but it's not viable. So when you launch, when you build something, when you build an effort to grow your business, it's got to be something that you can throw out into the world and test right away. And then you can make it better. You can go from version A to version B to version C to version D, right? This is better than this because this gives me nothing. This gives me nothing. This gives me nothing. And then if this falls flat on its face, I've got to go right back here from the beginning. Iterate as you go, okay? Now, anybody today, this is the last slide, I promise. Anybody get an idea today of something they could be doing to grow their business? Okay, cool. Hopefully. If you did, then what that means is you are here. You're in a certain place when it comes to your business growth, and you want to get across the chasm, right? And you've probably gotten a lot of ideas before and tried a lot of different things, and you've got what we call half-built bridges. That means you got so far across, and then you went, ooh, what's that over there? And somebody told me on YouTube that I should be running Instagram ads, or somebody told me over here that I should be doing X, Y, Z, and somebody told me over here. And so you get these projects started but not completed. So here's my challenge to you today, is this. Choose a bridge. Get it across the finish line. Choose a lever that you can pull, whether it's getting more attention, getting more sales out of the attention that you've got, getting more value per transaction, or getting more transactions. Something that moves that needle. Because those are the only 4 levers you can pull. Those are the needles you can move. Get that across the chasm. Then do it again. Then do it again. Then do it again. That's how you grow. Okay? This is a QR code. If you need help figuring out what bridge you need to build, you can scan that QR code. It'll take you to a landing page with a whole bunch of big gold buttons because I eat my own dog food. And you can schedule some time with me, and we'll talk about it. Cool. So I'm going to leave that up, and I think that is my time.
Good job. Just because of time, we're probably not going to be able to do questions. Oh, we can have 3 questions. We got 3 questions. Make it quick. And Bronson already left, so we really need someone to stand up and ask some questions. Come on, y'all. This is my last time MC. Don't let me hanging up here.
There's so much information.
I know my head is kind of swimming. There's a
I have
lot.
a question, but Kyle answered. Awesome.
Are you going to do a question? Sure. Oh, good. Thank you.
My question was going to be, what is the number one thing you would tell somebody who wants to take a step on their own? What should they do first? But it seems like you just answered that at the end of pick one thing and go complete it, which I know that Matt and I are very guilty of as well. Like everybody, we're running around. And I just had one client, that was going to be my question, but we actually are working with Kyle. We have been working with Kyle for months and months and months. And I'm not kidding you, the value we get is mind-blowing. It's just been an excellent experience. So if anybody's on the fence about talking to him, he always gives so much. So just please do. He's amazing.
Put that in writing and put it on Google. Anyone else have a question? If you don't, I have a question. You know that last slide with the skateboard and things like that? Can I borrow that as an example to somebody about what they need to think through? Okay. We literally had that conversation this week. Like, stop changing it. Just do it and pass it on. All right, any other questions? You did an incredible job, by the way. Just a lot of information. I'm going to go back and rewatch this because I want to take some notes on it. But thank you guys. Oh, wait, Ken. Ken.
I would like to rewatch it too. Where? Exactly.
Oh, where can we rewatch this, Gerald?
On Facebook.
I'll be a little more specific. Okay, Lee's going to handle that? Okay. Well, thank you, Kyle. Totally appreciate that. Give it up for Kyle. And we're going to bring Lee back up here, and she's going to close us out.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you, Kyle, so much. It's like speed dating. Very, very fast. Lots of information, but very, very helpful information. And to answer your question, sir, we have Fresh Start Cherokee Facebook page, and so we will stream it live there. And so our next one will be on June 21st at Reformation Brewery in Canton. We're going to have NYX Training Center, so this will be a little bit different in that we're going to have a business present to you and present their challenges. So we'd love for you to be there so that you can help solve their challenges. So instead of an educational presentation like you had today, it'll be a business that will present and pose their questions. So we have a local training center that's doing some ninja classes, so a little bit different. And then where to connect with us, Twitter, Instagram, all the things that he talked about, people drive to and go to. Would love for you to find us there and connect with us. And then also if you want to stay up to date on just the co-ed as a whole, the Cherokee Office of Economic Development, go to CherokeeGeorgia.org, and then the Fresh Start Mornings, Cherokee.com. We have a separate landing page that will give you all the dates for the rest of the year, who's speaking, so you'll know in advance before we promote it, and then also our Facebook page. And then we've upgraded as well and provided the QR code. We used to bring sign-in sheets and nobody wanted to sign in, and so we threw that out. And we'd love for you to click on this so that you can stay connected to us. And of course, whenever you get tired of us, you can unsubscribe. But we'd love for you to click on this so that you can stay connected. And then I do want to thank Elizabeth. She kind of threw out a little nugget when she was up here saying this will be her last one. Elizabeth has been here for a long time, way before me, and helping MC and volunteer and being a face here at the circuit and driving audience here and supporting our local entrepreneurs. And she's ready to step down from this role and move on to another role and continue to grow her business. And so I said, okay, I guess we'll let you go if that's really what you want to do. But of course, we want to support her and thank her for her volunteer time. We are going to wrap it up for the day. I think Kyle's going to stick around for just a minute. If you have any questions that you thought of that you want to talk to him personally, you can. And just want to thank you again for being here. Our largest attendance since I've been here. So thank you very much for coming today and spending your Wednesday morning. Take care.
as well. It's nice to have